Hello to day one of our Warrior Goddess Foundations. Day one, we're starting with awareness because I'm sure that you all have all heard the saying, everything starts with awareness. Everything starts with recognizing where we are in this current moment. But let's begin in this awareness journey of why do we need awareness and what are we looking for awareness in? Well, if you've been called or drawn to the warrior goddess training, the foundations will be these three classes. If you've been called to this because those words, warrior and goddess, are resonating to you, then most likely you're feeling the need to take charge, to find this warrior within you that comes from a divine light rather than the struggle. That you are ready to take charge, that you're ready to own what you feel like you really need. Maybe for you, it's these dreams that you keep avoiding, that keep being put on the back burner. Maybe it's your self care that you are realizing that you're putting everyone else before you. Maybe it's that you've found yourself stuck in life, stuck, and you're no longer rising, and you feel like there is more to you, and you feel like there is more to your life, but for some reason you can't figure out how to escape this. Maybe you've been beaten down and burnt out from a life of just doing the same thing all the time and you're ready to escape it. Or maybe you're like me. I was recognizing family karma where I was trying to escape this life that I've known and I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be different. For me, my warrior goddess training life, this journey for me, um, began further on in my spiritual journey. So I felt like I was in a really good place. When I came across warrior goddess training, the first time I came across the book and I brushed along it and I saw it in a different light than I did later when I really took the warrior goddess path. What it started with is I was meditating for 100 days in a row. I had gone to spiritual trainings, I was a yoga teacher, I knew where to find things, but I was still searching. And I was sitting in meditation, and it came to me that I really had a poor relationship with female relationships in my life. That I struggled with this intimacy of feminine, and that I really had this struggle in pleasing my parents as well as trying to figure out what I wanted to do and owning that. And I was trying to wear all these hats and be this people pleaser. And at the same time I was realizing I didn't have any close friends, that I was chasing certain feelings and I was always just in this chasing mode. And so I made a resolve within me that I was going to search for a path to heal my female relationships. And it started with just that, with my mothering relationships in itself. And little pieces had been dropped and hinted to me from the universe. But when I really made this quest to go, okay, this is my new mission, this is my new commitment to myself. Suddenly these doors opened up and I found a women's circle, and then I reread the Warrior Goddess training and I really started to dive into the divine feminine and Mother Earth and getting into the lunar cycles and all of this. And it up leveled my spiritual journey in a different way that I didn't even know was possible. And that's where it's really important for me to introduce this to you as women, to say you might feel like you're in a really good spiritual spot and you know everything there is to know within your spiritual realm and you might. But it's the experience and it's the aha moments. And I don't know if you've had this before, but where you've heard the same thing over and over, but suddenly you see it with a different lens. And that's why it's so important for us to begin this journey, this awareness, by noticing what lens we're currently wearing. And this is the story that we live by. Each one of us has a story. So if you're like, I'm not sure if I have one, you do. You have a story. We all have a story. And we're all constantly becoming more aware of the story that we are living by. So we are like in this, we're in this phase right now where we don't see it because we're in it. But when we can allow ourselves to step back and really examine this awareness, we start to see certain things. And generally that takes, certain questions to ask ourselves to figure out what it is that we really view. So today I'm going to ask you to pick a certain topic. I'm going to have to get some water in a moment. To pick a certain topic that you really want to improve on in life. Where is something that is either you're constantly complaining about, something that's weighing on your heart, an area in your life that you feel like you're struggling or you keep revisiting. So maybe that's a relationship with a certain person. Maybe that's your relationship with your own self-care and self-health. Maybe that is a relationship with your career or with money. And it might be one of those things I've mentioned. It might be something else, but it tends to fall in those categories. So that's why I mentioned those. Maybe it is a relationship with your partner or a parent or your children or a relationship with yourself. Every single thing we have a relationship with. For example, this candle. I have a relationship with this candle based on previous experiences with fire, glass, wax. So I have an expectation of this. I have an expectation of how to use it. And for little things, like maybe you think of a candle as only for a source of light. Maybe you think of a candle as ambiance or for smell. Maybe you think of a candle as setting the tone. Or maybe you see a candle and you know that you can do one pointed focus meditation. It's all about our experience. It's about things we've read about things that people have said about things. Maybe you had a bad experience with a candle as a kid, and so you tend to not do them. Or you had a parent who constantly was like, make sure you blow the candles out, you're going to set the house on fire. So notice what your relationship is with each and every little thing. And that comes about the more and more you move on this journey of awareness. But today we're bringing it to one thing. Instead of trying to do all of it, which can be overwhelming, I really want you to have some amazing results at the end of this week with the foundations. And so pick something, a relationship or something else. You might have a list of things you want, but notice the one that's really weighing on your heart the most. And if you feel comfortable, comment that in the comment section. This is a safe place for us to make comments, and it's really eye-opening and inspiring when we can share what we're going through, when we can share our pain that we're working on, the pain that we want to overcome. Now, in each one of these areas, and I mentioned those too because those are ones that I particularly have gone through myself. So the relationship with the career and the money, the relationship with our partner, the relationship with ourself, or maybe it's the relationship with our health. And that kind of still goes down in that self category. So there's relationship with others, relationship with self, relationship with career, and in all reality, whichever one you pick is perfect, because what you learn in that experience will carry over into the others when you're ready to start working on those. And sometimes it kind of just naturally starts to improve in all areas as well. But we really want to focus on one area, because that's going to allow us to see the before and the after as well, and we inspire ourselves to continue forward. Now, before we continue forward and we really start to talk about how we're going to transform that, let's talk about how life would be different if you did transform it. So instead of the process, let's start with the end goal, and then we can work our way backwards. So thinking about if that was solved, don't worry about how it's going to get solved. Don't worry about if it's possible. Just thinking about if it was solved, if everything was peachy keen in that area, do you know what that would look like? Do you know what that would feel like? And so this is where we're going to move into a meditation. Moving into a meditation where I find this helps with setting a sankalpa. And if you're not familiar with yoga, sankalpa is like a deep resolve, meaning something that we really, really want to happen that's going to cause our happiness. And it's something super simple. And then we select an image to represent that. So maybe for me at one point it was being able to lay in bed and have a partner that I'm laying next to that I really felt safe and comfortable with, that I felt pride, that I felt happy, and that I felt a connection, and I felt like my family was happy. But for me, like, it started in that spot. And the words that came to me in that deep resolve is, I am love. I receive love and I give love. And I still use this affirmation, this resolve, even to this day. And that was 5, 6 years ago for me. And it still rings so true for me. And so as we go into this meditation, allow yourself to really be there. Okay? So you can keep your eyes open. You can close your eyes. Find yourself in a space, and it doesn't have to be perfectly quiet. In fact, if you are a mom and allowing noise and stuff to happen around you is perfectly fine. And if anything, you're setting an example for children to say, like, this is how I manage my peace. You're teaching them skills. Okay. So eyes open or eyes closed, finding a seat, settling into your body, so settling into the present moment. Take a deep breath. Allow all of that energy, that breath to swell up in you. And then open your mouth and release that exhale. So we're inhaling through the nose. And as we exhale, release that jaw. Releasing the jaw releases the hips, allowing us to settle into the present moment, allowing us to feel safe. And we're going to call to mind a place, any space in the future, in the past, make believe, real, any space that allows you to feel comfortable and at home. Maybe it's a vacation you've gone to, a vacation you want to go to. Maybe it's a childhood place. Maybe it's a home in the future you'd like to have. Any place, a safe place. Allow that to come to mind. And as that comes to mind, maybe several things come to your mind. You can mash them all together if you'd like. Maybe it's a beautiful house on the beach. But just allow yourself to settle on one space. You can always choose a different space at another time. So settling in a space that makes you feel comfortable. Maybe it's the forest or the beach. Maybe it's somewhere outside. Maybe it's somewhere inside. And notice your mind will get finicky sometimes. I've had times where I've imagined myself in a forest, but then I'm like, ew, I don't want to be here because there's mosquitoes. Or imagine it's perfect. It's a perfectly safe space where nothing, no one, nothing can bother you there. Because in this safe space, you only invite in what you want. So allow yourself to just to feel this space. Notice the temperature. Notice any sounds. Notice if you'd like to be a certain age. Wherever you feel safest. Maybe you felt safer as a child, or maybe you feel like you'll feel safer in the future. And in this safe place, imagine what you'd be wearing. You at your happiest, you at your most confident. Maybe your hair would be styled a certain way. Maybe you would have on designer clothes. Maybe it's soft clothes. Something that makes you feel entirely comfortable, entirely yourself. You at your most confident. You at your most at ease but at peace. Feeling fully you, completely you. And then imagine, maybe that thought's already came in, is what would your ideal body be like? Your ideal health. What would your health feel like on an emotional level, on a physical level, and on a spiritual level? You at your healthiest, happiest, most confident you. How would that be? How would that feel? Would you feel free? Would you feel balanced? Would your posture be different? That version of you. Notice any thoughts or feelings that come up. If you are hesitant or you feel guilty or worried or not enough, just release those. Don't worry about those. This isn't if it's possible or deserving or anything of that nature. No one will know. This is just in your mind. No one's reading your thoughts. Taking a deep breath. And then release it. You can wiggle your fingers, shake your head, get a little movement in. And notice what it is that you were really desiring. What it is that really felt good, that felt at peace, that felt home for you. Okay? And maybe there was an image in there that you would like to really take home with you, that you'd like to set in stone. Maybe there were certain words. And so if you want to tap back into that and feel which words, maybe it was balance, or maybe it was love, or maybe it was comfort, or maybe it was confidence. Any of those words that resonated with you, and maybe it's a few of them. And then I want you to write down, maybe you do this now, maybe you do this after, maybe you type it into the comments. What are those words? What was that image? And yes, it is completely different when you put it into words, when you put it into something other than just leaving it in your mind. Write it down. You can message it to me. You can put it in the comments. And if you are going to write it down in just a bit, then make sure you really write that down. Because it is an action. It is taking action by writing it versus allowing it to just remain a thought. You are not your mind. Your mind is a tool. And just as we just used our mind as a tool, it's again important to recognize these stories that we tell ourselves. And so whatever it is, this problem that you want to solve, I really want you to write down what that problem is you want to solve. Again, comments, journal, both is even better. And notice the gap from where you are now and where you want to be, where that wholeness is. We don't have to fill in the middle right now. We're going to be working on that in the next 3 trainings. And we'll be working on that even further in more trainings. But first, right now, just notice the beginning and notice the end. And that end might change as you continue to evolve. So don't allow yourself to be too stuck, but allow yourself to be inspired. To be inspired. Now, this tool, this activity, is to go, okay, here's the problem and here's what I want. Maybe it is your career. Let's say it's your career. That's money, because money is often the problem. Or the success. Maybe that feels more true for you. Notice what it is that you learned about that. What is it that you learned about that? And then write down, maybe you have a couple columns or you want to do some spaces. But your activity for today is to write down, like, what did your dad teach you about this? Or your father figure, your predominant father figure, your male figure. Teach you about this, about career, success, money, any of those. It might be certain things that they said, like you got to work hard for it. Or the only way you're going to earn money and have a career is if you go to school. Like, what are these sayings that that person said often? What did they show you? So there's what they said. There's what they actually showed you in life. Did they actually struggle? Maybe they had certain things to say about how women make money or what women are supposed to do as a career. Okay? And we're going to do that same activity with our female figure in our life. Your mother, maybe you had a few. So your mother, your grandmother, maybe it's a stepmom. Note down those people and then do the same activity with them as well. What did they say? What did they verbally say to you all the time? How did they make you feel about it? What did they also do and display? Because actions speak louder than words. And then, so we're recognizing this mother and father figure earlier on in life. But then also notice, like, what did you learn in elementary, in middle, and high school? What have you learned from partners and friends? What have you learned from society? And you replace this, we're talking about career and money, but replace this with maybe your relationship with your significant other, your relationship with yourself. And so we'll write those down, and you can journal about these further later. And then also I want you to write down, what is it that you've been taught? Good girls do this. Good girls do this. So maybe you're lacking in self-care. Good girls take care of others. Good girls are not selfish. What are these things that you've learned? What are these layers that we need to peel back? What is it that our parents and people around us have taught us about relationships with our partner? That I'm there to serve. That a wife is there to support. Maybe it's that you think that a good wife is supposed to stay at home and take care of her children. And that if, maybe they've made comments about the women who go off to work and they're so selfish. They're choosing that over their family. What are these things that you've heard? Write those down. These are really, really important. Because we need to know, what are all these subconscious thoughts in our mind? Because what happens is our energy gets scattered. We're trying to please all of these. We're trying to live up to all of these. And instead, what we end up doing is living up to none of them. And that's why we feel riddled with guilt. That's why we don't feel like we're enough. Because we're sitting here as this inner child version of ourselves, trying to please everyone, trying to be accepted. And instead, we've lost our focus, we've lost our clarity, we've lost our why, we've lost our passion. And instead we do nothing. Maybe it's the book that you've been wanting to write. Maybe it's the business that you've been wanting to become successful. Maybe it's the career that you've wanted. I know for the longest time I wanted to teach yoga. I wanted to teach wisdom. I wanted to teach health. And somehow I would start one thing and I'd start on another and then I'd start on another, and I never let myself fully commit and finish. I feared the success. But not only did I fear the success, I feared being this person that was teaching spirituality. I feared that for the longest time because I knew what my dad thought about that. And I thought I wouldn't be taken seriously because I remembered all of his more atheist, science-based, all of this stuff coming at me, and it gave me profound balance, and that I can safely say, this is what science says about it. But there's also this other component that science cannot explain. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay being me. I'm okay owning me. I'm okay with no longer trying to please everyone, because those aren't the people I'm talking to. I'm talking to people like you. People who feel it. Who feel it in their heart, and they're tired of feeling heartbroken. They're tired of feeling like something is missing. You're ready to be more because you know you can be more. You know it's possible. But for some reason, there's another piece of you that's telling you that you're not worthy. And you're ready to escape that. You're ready to level up. You're ready to rise up. You're ready to embody and embrace abundant mindset. You're ready to escape. And for me, the big thing that really challenged me was that I kept seeing my mother particularly was in this paycheck to paycheck, and this dodging and dashing, and this constant start up and never finish. And I started noticing that I was doing similar activities. I was starting projects and not finishing them. It would get a little too hard, a little too challenging, or I wasn't seeing success fast enough, and I wasn't allowing myself to fully finish a project, something I knew good and well I could do, or I wouldn't have started it. I had the faith in the beginning, but somehow along the path, I started losing it. And that's why we need that warrior quality. This is why we're going to be developing this warrior quality. But the goddess quality is the divine. The goddess quality is us representing love, us representing values. And so we have the passion and the purpose as a warrior and as a goddess. We're channeling our divine. We're channeling all these things that we may be scared to really own and talk about, that we know need to be talked about. Because in the past, in our ancestral genes, when we start talking about intuition, when we start talking about knowing things by just knowing, those were the women that were burned at the stake. Those were the women who were put into the crazy houses because we were too emotional, that we didn't fit into the mold, that we didn't follow the standards, that we wouldn't allow ourselves to be suppressed. But you are safe. And we're in a time where you can, and it's a beautiful thing because we are honoring women who are willing to stand up and say, this is spirituality. I am a goddess. And there is something beautiful about divine Mother Nature who creates. The ancients, in a lot of the warrior goddess training, we're referring to Native American and Aztec philosophy, and a lot of this indigenous ancient wisdom. They were also suppressed. They were also put down. These things have been wanted to be suppressed for so long by people on the outside because these things are empowering. These things allow you to be lit up and gain your control, your power, to empower others, to empower yourself, to have a fulfilled life. This is why alchemy had to be coded so that it was almost like chemistry. But instead, it was the alchemical process of transformation. And that's what we're doing here is we're working on turning something base into gold. You are rising out of the basic and into your power. All of those things had to be kept secret for so long because only royalty wanted this knowledge. Because if everyone is empowered, then they lose control. They lose their power. But what we really find is that abundance is abundant. That we don't run out of abundance. This is where we see countries like Switzerland and things of this nature where everyone can be wealthy. Everyone can have it all. Everyone can find balance. There can be education. There can be knowledge. We can all up level together and up level the whole planet. We can create this, but we can only create this when we let go of the judging and we let go of the complaining and we let go of the lack mindset and we let go of the jealousy and we let go of the people pleasing and we let go of all the scattered energy. Because scattered energy is what has us choosing the scroll instead of our dreams. And so if you are ready to start focusing your energy, to start focusing your time, and yes, it is uncomfortable at first, I am not going to lie to you, when you know that you really want to start writing blogs or doing something in that nature, and every time you do it, suddenly you're riddled with all these other to-do list items. Suddenly your attention's being pulled in all these other places. That is those limiting beliefs trying to hold you back, trying to block you. And you have to recognize that because you are now having the awareness. And you're going, you know what? My mind is my tool. My mind is not me. I am not a slave to my mind. You can stop and you can tell your mind what you want it to do. You say, no, I am choosing this. I'm choosing, just an example, I'm choosing to write this blog. I'm choosing to have this difficult conversation with my partner in a loving way. I'm choosing this because I want better, because I want to up level, and I don't want to stay stuck. I went to my mom one time and I said, Mom, how do I escape this? How do I escape this paycheck to paycheck and the suffering? And she was like, you don't. And, they were even telling me that, I should just quit what I'm doing and just stay home and take care of the children. And I remember going, do you know how irrational that is when I don't have anyone to take care of me? How am I supposed to quit everything and take care of them? Why can't I take care of me, take care of them, and make money all at the same time? Why can't I do that? Why isn't that possible? And as I'm having this conversation, it dawned on me that I had to think a different way, that I had to do something radically different, that I had to get out of my comfort zone. Success is on the other side of your comfort zone. Magic is on the other side of your comfort zone. And it was really painful. I had to stop doing the yoga. Because I had to take myself completely out of that. And I'm not saying if you're a yoga teacher, that's what you should do. But for me, that's what I had to do. I had to take myself completely out of that equation and pick something totally different. And so I ended up enrolling myself into the MBA program. Something that I thought, business is going to be yucky. Business is going to be this male-dominated world. And I was like, I'm not going to get to do everything I love. But I was like, that is my comfort zone, and I'm getting out of my comfort zone. And so I enrolled in the program. And I found that all of these course creations and all of this wisdom teaching that I had been teaching was present in the business world as well. It was there. I had no idea, but it was there. And so I found myself with my skills, my passions, and I found it on the other side. And I found it in a way that now I am the first woman in my family among generations that is now paying all the bills. And instead, we have flopped where I'm the one that works and pays the bills. And I'm here at home with my family, and my husband gets to stay home. And he gets to do what he wants, and he gets to help take care of the children and do all those disciplinary things. And that we're both here together. And we both have this beautiful relationship. But sometimes I'm in awe, going, oh my gosh, I escaped that cycle. I escaped that cycle. I am making money that I bought a house. I bought a house on my own. That I am buying furniture on my own. That I am putting money in the savings account on my own. I have overcome health issues where I could have listened to the doctors and I could have held on to those limiting beliefs. I broke my foot and they told me I needed to fuse all the bones together, and I would never wear heels, and I would never jump. I would never do any of these things. And I said, no, I refused that answer. But I couldn't just refuse it. I also had to take action to move myself into healing as well. And so I moved myself into, I'm going to do all the exercises. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to eat the foods that I need to do to heal. And I've healed that foot. I've healed my back several times. I've healed my neck several times. And as I go through these ups and downs, and just as much as we need our physical hygiene, such as washing our hair, brushing our teeth, doing our exercises, eating healthy, we need our emotional hygiene, and we need our spiritual hygiene as well. And this is what we're learning in these foundations. We need the emotional hygiene and the spiritual hygiene, and we need these daily, just as we've already learned the habits to take a shower every day. Or maybe you're like me. When I became a mom, I struggled with self-care to even take a shower every day because I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel enough. But the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual, they all go together. And if you are finding yourself putting anything above your hygiene, then you're going to lead to burnout. And so we're going to dive into how we get caught up in this stress cycle. And by remaining in lack mentality, we prevent ourselves from being in abundance. And we have to get out of lack mentality. We have to get out of fear response in order to start taking care of ourselves. And you might have seen Maslow's hierarchy, right? Like, we have to have our basic foundations in order to get to this higher spiritual quality. And most of us are craving the spirituality, but we're not willing to take the steps, these hygiene levels, in order to get ourselves at this beautiful spiritual level. And we rise up in that as well. And as we rise up, we step into leadership to guide other women. And if you find that maybe you're a mom and you want to guide your children, or you're a wife and you want to guide your family. Maybe you are, looking in your career and you want to step up and you want to be able to guide people to purchase your products or join you on this journey. Your relationship, anything of that sort, we have to rise up. We can't stay down at the bottom and expect people to come down with us. That's rude. We want to rise up and invite them to rise with us. And so that takes getting out of that fear response, which I'm going to discuss tomorrow some more, is getting out of this fear response, this weight that's holding us down. We need to lighten our load. And, today, we're talking about our story that we're telling ourselves. And so a bigger activity, aside from the journaling that we've already talked about, a bigger activity, it's really beautiful, is to sketch a timeline of your life. And what are these key stories that you tell a lot? These key pivotal points in your life? Um, what are these things that you talk about often or you think about often? Maybe it's stories that we feel bad about and we don't want to write down. Maybe it's key defining stories. But I really urge you to write down what are those key stories that really defined how you view yourself as a woman, how you view yourself as a mom. And we can do that by writing down all the roles that we play. What are all the roles that you play? Are you an employee? Are you a boss? Are you a wife? Are you a daughter? Are you an aunt? Are you a mother? Write down all these hats that we're trying to wear. And what do we believe about each one of those? We have to take these layers off, but before we can take them off, we need to realize what layers we have on. So this is where we really start to become aware of all these stories that we're telling ourselves, all these roles, all these agreements that we've made. And it's time to undo them. You can always put back on what you want to put on, but first let's take them all off and let's just see who we are. So thank you for joining me. This is day one of our Warrior Goddess Foundations. So we've got 3 days, and I urge you to participate in all of them. You might have been like, this is a lot. This is a whole week's worth of homework in itself. But the awareness is there, and once you've heard this, once you've listened to this, once you've participated in this, you can't undo it. You can choose to participate in the hygiene of it. But a spiritual journey is a lifelong journey. The time, the energy, the effort that you put into your self-development will never be undone. You can't unlearn this. And you yourself are the person that you have to live with for the rest of your life. And you are living with yourself on an intimate level. And if you want your life to drastically improve, to drastically change, to drastically be fulfilling and loving and being able to spread all of this love, you have to invest the time and the energy into yourself. You have to. Otherwise, you're just avoiding it. You're just skirting around it. You're doing the people pleasing because you're avoiding taking care of yourself. Somewhere in you, you believe that you're not enough. Somewhere in you believe that you're not worthy and that they're more worthy. Or maybe you're feeling codependent, that your worthiness only comes from helping them. You need to analyze this stuff because that's not true. You are worthy, you are divine without doing absolutely anything. So we need to look at these stories. And we can rewrite these stories as well. But first comes awareness. And first comes awareness before we can prepare for change. So if you're like, I want the change now, there's steps. There are steps, and we need the awareness, we need the safety, we need the preparing. We need to feel safe so that we can move into change. We need to feel safe. So let's start with the awareness. Let's release what we no longer need. Let's prepare for the change. And let's make ourselves feel safe so that we can take the change, so that we can take the action to make the change. So thank you for joining me for day 1. And I will see you tomorrow for day 2. Bye.